Hi, I'm Wayne Hall back again with indie books that you can order through local bookstores. And this week I thought I would do what I like to call a hidden gem, a book that is relatively unknown but still really good. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the name Jeff Lemire. Jeff Lemire gained his notoriety back when the New 52 started for DC, and he did a book called Animal Man. Animal Man was much more family drama than it was superhero action oriented, and it was something different. And it really caught on, and it propelled him into stardom, basically. He did a book called Sweet Tooth as well for Vertigo that really got people. And whenever I want to have a good cry, I pull out Sweet Tooth, the last page, and cry for a while. But he does books occasionally in which he both writes and draws. And that's the case with the book I want to talk about this week. It's called Roughneck, and Jeff Lemire has written and drawn it. Let me really quickly read the description. And of course, I'm going to butcher the French. Derek Ouellette's glory days are behind him. His hockey career ended a decade earlier in a violent incident on ice, and since then, he's been living off his reputation in the remote northern community where he grew up, drinking too much and fighting anyone who crosses him. But he never counts on his long lost sister Beth showing up one day out of the blue, back in town and on the run from an abusive boyfriend. Looking to hide out for a while, the two siblings hunker down in a secluded hunting camp deep in the local woods. It is there that they attempt to find a way to reconnect with each other and the painful secrets of their past, even as Beth's ex draws closer, threatening to pull both Derek and Beth back into a world of self destruction that they're fighting tooth and nail to leave behind. Again, he's drawn and does this and does like the color and things. He has a very sketchy art style, as you can tell. He tends to, again, I find myself drawn to like two color work rather than four color. Although there are pages in which four color is used, like here, which is talking about her past. That is four color, and you can see that Mr. Lemire has a very sketchy drawing style, but it fits the stories very interestingly. What he often does is gets into a interpersonal conflict relationship rather than superhero fighting and kicking and punching and things like that. And that's the story in this one. He's got the main character, whose name is Derek. Derek is living an isolated life away from everybody. And as the way that Mr. Lemire likes to do, he gets us to know the person. And we've all known these kind of isolated people who tend to be, quiet and think with their fists rather than with their brains kinds of people. And that's what Derek is. And he's gotten kicked out of hockey, something Canadians know real well because Mr. Lemire's from Canada, of course. And he is doing things that, he's not supposed to be doing. Every once in a while, somebody recognizes who he is and they confront him, and he gets all upset and he usually beats them to the ground. And when Beth shows up, however, things change because it's a family situation now. And the two of them have to kind of reconcile. And we find out that each of them has secrets that they've been keeping from each other and from the world. And like Beth in particular, I won't spoil any of them, but she's really in the depths of her life at this point. And she is in the middle of something that she needs to get resolved. And the interesting thing about this book, I love the title, by the way. I think Roughneck is a great name for this book. The interesting thing about this book is that Derek comes up with a solution that resolves both of their problems in what I consider to be an unexpected way. And, it's in the middle of nowhere in Canada. People come to him constantly wanting to, thinking that because he's a known person, they can do things with him. And it's so interesting how they use their interpersonal connections. They go hiding in a place, and she says, "What a dump," she says. That's where they end up going to hide away from the boyfriend. And it's so interesting the way the interaction between the two. The two of them have things to say to each other. They've actually both been looking for each other, but they haven't found each other until this moment. She finally locates where he is. One time when he's out playing a hockey game, he's in town and he goes looking for her, but he can't find her because he didn't know how to search for her. So the two of them have lots to resolve, and it's not dull. You'd think with dramatic stuff it could be kind of boring, but it's not. the discussions that they have and the revelation of secrets and stuff keeps the plot moving forward really, really well. Now, this book is published by a company called Gallery 13 Comics. It's hardcover, and it's if your local store, I don't know if they can order it now because of the pandemic and all the stuff that's going on with Diamond. But it's Gallery 13 with the number 13comics.com if you get stuck. I really think this is one that stores, I've seen it in stores, and so I know stores can order it there. I don't know how Diamond is handling this kind of stuff, but Mr. Lemire is so well known at this point that I think you're going to be able to get these things. So it's Roughneck. It's a self-contained story. It all resolves by the end of the book. How odd is that? And again, it's a drama. If you're in the mood for drama rather than punching and kicking, this is going to be a book you're going to enjoy. So let's get to the gradings. Writing, as always, I think Mr. Lemire, he writes differently than other people. So I would give him an A in the sense that it's not superheroic stuff going on. It's very interpersonal. This could be a very good movie if they wanted to. I could see this very easily being a movie. His writing is always strong. The characterization is always strong. So I think the plotting moves forward. Like I said, it's not dull. And so I would say the writing, I would give it an A. Now, Mr. Lemire's art, some people describe it, sketchy. He uses back and forth between duotones and full color and stuff like that. So it depends on the circumstance. His art isn't always the best choice for every situation, though. I'm sorry, Mr. Lemire, but it's true. And I think his art deserves a B. It's a very good story. It's well displayed most of the time, but there's times when I kind of wish the limitations of Mr. Lemire's art weren't in play. Now, the lettering, I believe he does the lettering too, but I could be wrong on that one. It's usually pretty well done, I have to say. He's good at that, so I would give it an A in the lettering department. Literary merit. Does this book hold up over time and in different circumstances? Yes. I would, again, give this an A. This is a kind of a story. If you want to get to know someone, we get to look behind the curtain in people's lives, and as such, that's great. I love that kind of stuff, and so I would give this an A in that. Again, when it comes to fun factor, I don't tend to be drawn to fun stories, I guess. The fun factor, gosh, there's some funny stuff, but it's dark, dark, dark humor when it happens. So I would have to give it a C when it comes to fun factor. It could even be a D because I don't think there's a lot of fun happening. Not a lot of joking going on. There's stuff that's more subtle happening over on. And let's see, that brings us to the overall grade. You know, if you like Mr. Lemire, you're going to be like me and you're going to give this an A because it's just one of those books that is going to make you think. It's going to make you care about the characters. It's going to make you feel. As such, that is just a wonderful thing about his writing and his art. You know, like I said, Sweet Tooth was a great one. He's done so many different things. He did a Justice League book for a while. He's now writing largely for Marvel and doing stuff there. And it's interesting to see how he does things. You know, when he does a superhero book now, he's getting better at the superhero action than he used to be. When I interviewed him, I talked about the fact that he also does family situations a lot. Family's really important to him, and so even in Animal Man, there was a lot of family going on. And that's the main thing in this book. Brother and sister are their own family, and as such, they have to deal with each other's problems. And it isn't always easy, but it's always dramatic, and it's gripping to read and to watch. So as such, Roughneck from Gallery 13 Comics. And if you struggle, if the bookstore can't get it for you, local comic store, gallery13comics.com. I'd prefer you go through the bookstore. Of course, I've seen it in local bookstores, so I know you can get it. So it's called Roughneck again. Jeff Lemire, writing and drawing, which is getting rarer and rarer these days, so you're going to enjoy it. And so keep getting your comics and keep enjoying them. This is one, if you're ready for a nice long sit and read, this is one I would recommend. So until next time, keep reading your comics.